Hi guys, it's me, Canada, from the Hatai Nation, and this is another MLP fanfic review. The fanfiction I will be reviewing is Fluttershy's Mansion The Dark Moon by Phantom Fan 21. This is basically a sequel to Fluttershy's Mansion, which is based on the series Luigi's Mansion by Nintendo. So this story is based on Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon, which is the sequel to Luigi's Mansion. So yeah, I know it's kind of confusing for me to say, but you should, if you played the game, then you obviously know what I'm talking about. So yeah, this game basically starts off the same way as the game does. Ghost Studies is in his laboratory or whatever it is, working on an invention, and stuff like that. When suddenly, when it flips to outside, and then it shows a dark figure breaking apart the dark moon over Evershade Valley. So yeah, and then he start going crazy. So he runs to his little bunker shed type place. And then after that, it cuts to Fluttershy talking to a group of fillies in her mansion. Which, if anybody wants to know the mansion that she built, I don't know if I've said this at the end of the last one, but the mansion was built for homeless fillies and animals. So yeah. But anyway, she's telling the story about basically her time in the first story, in her mansion that she won and stuff like that. And suddenly Spike, and also something I thought was neat. The main six are also in this story as well as the first one, but they're in it in a different way. They're all basically what they're all with her, and so are the princesses too, which I thought another neat thing as well. Basically, suddenly while they're all in there, Fluttershy's telling the story. Spike comes running in with a note from Ghost Studies saying about all kinds, about what's going on, and they need he needs Fluttershy's help and stuff like that. So they end up going to the forest. I think it's still called the exact same forest from the game, the Evershade Valley. I don't exactly remember if it was named anything else. So yeah, he ends up going there, informing, and when they arrive, they find him in the shed or whatever, and he ends up informing them about the dark moon, and stuff like that. Also, Luna gives a little backstory on how it was pretty. Luna created the Evershade Valley and the Dark Moon, and so yeah, she is basically sort of involved in the creation of this valley for the ghosts, which I don't know if it was intentional or not in the story, because it never really explains if she knew the ghost or not. I don't think it does. But yeah, so I guess you could say she unintentionally made this valley home for ghosts and stuff. So now he needs Fluttershy's help. Basically, now he needs Fluttershy's help to get each of the Dark Moon pieces and things like that. So it ends up going the exact way as the game ends up. Fluttershy ends up going through all the mansions and fighting ghosts and stuff like that. But one thing that I thought was neat is the main six are all in this story. They have a little bit bigger part to play than the other one. Well, I don't know, sort of bigger part. They actually do help with Fluttershy throughout the mansion. And each of the boss areas that, are from the game, each of the main six get to help Fluttershy defeat the ghost. So they get to sort of do their own little ghost hunt thing with Fluttershy, which I thought was very neat, and much different than the other one. And so it adds a little bit more variety with each of the main six there too, and also the princesses as well. So yeah, so I won't really talk too much about the battles, but except for the last two, the last couple of battles, one that I want to talk about, is the Pinkie Pie's battle, which is in the ice area of the game, basically, which is sort of, I think, in the secret mines. Was it? Yeah, I think it was. So she helps Fluttershy by using. If you remember in the game, Luigi is going down in this ice cart with, I think, a bunch of coals that have been lit on fire, and he's throwing it at the ice boss and defeating him that way. Well, instead of doing that, Pinkie Pie is using her party cannon, shooting ball streamers out and defeating the ghost that way. So I thought it was very neat to do. And it was very funny. The other one is with Twilight. What happens was, I think I should mention beforehand, before I get into that, is Twilight is actually captured in somewhat of the middle of the story. Basically what happens is she ends up going and ends up checking on Spike. Well, I think either before or after she returns, I don't know. She ends up getting caught by Nightmare Moon, but the group doesn't know it until the very end. So yeah, and also another thing that I should mention before getting into the final of the story. So if you guys, you remember in the game, you meet a bunch of toads that will, are sort of working in the mansion and things like that. Yeah, here it's actually the main six, Babseed and Spike that are in place of the toads. Well, not the main six, I think I said the main six, the CMC, Babs, and Spike, which are in place of the toads in this story. So yeah, I thought that was kind of another thing that was pretty neat. So the story has a whole cast of characters in here. Yeah, and pretty much, so let me get to the final battle. So how they save Twilight is in the area where you're fighting all those boos, where in the train part of the story, yeah, that's where they save her. I know in the game that's not how it is. I don't know if she just, I think she was originally going to have Twilight help Fluttershy defeat. If you guys remember in the game, Luigi is fighting a whole bunch of ghosts before actually going there and defeating the boss and stuff. And King Boo, he is doing that. But I think originally she was going to have Fluttershy and the entire main six help her, so they have her save Fluttershy. So she saved Twilight before the final boss and stuff like that. But in the end, she ended up changing her mind, and it wasn't the whole entire main six. It was Fluttershy, Rainbow Dash, Applejack, Rarity, and Pinkie Pie that all helped her. Yeah, and then finally so after that she ends up going, through the portal or whatever, I think, the portal, and, you helping defeat the boss with Twilight. Her and Twilight end up defeating the boss, the suit of armor, and after that, that's basically what happens. After Fluttershy and Twilight defeat the boss, it ends up going to Fluttershy fighting Nightmare Moon with the help of Celestia and Luna too, as well. Yeah, and so they basically help Fluttershy defeat Nightmare Moon. At the end of that, it ends up, sort of going to Fluttershy, and also, if you guys remember in the game, Fluttershy, Luigi is, trying to capture a dog. Well, at the end of this, there's a dog in the story that Fluttershy ends up becoming friends with and sort of taking care of. Well, it ends up going back to them in the mansion at the end of this, and the main six is talking to Diamond Tiara and sort of, you know, telling her about their adventure. And well, being Diamond Tiara, she doesn't believe it until the ghost dog comes out. So yeah, and the story pretty much ends with Fluttershy basically sort of laying down and taking a nap because she is so worn out, which which I don't think is a bad thing. That was a pretty good game. It was a pretty good story. There's not really a lot of problems with it. I do like the whole main six being more involved with the story. There are a whole bunch more characters, which I think is a better improvement than the original. The original one didn't really have a lot of dialogue and things. It was pretty much just Fluttershy running around the mansion trying to capture ghosts. Here it's the same thing, but you have more characters, meaning you have more dialogue and stuff like that, so it makes it a little bit more entertaining to watch. The only problem I would have to say would be the battle trying to save Twilight early. It was kind of confusing. So yeah, pretty much that's pretty much it. There's not really a lot of problems. Just basically the only problem I have is really that Twilight scene. It was really confusing because it's not how basically everything has been the same from the game except for that little ending. That's basically it. Another thing that I was going to mention is the CMC. I'm not really a huge fan of the CMC, so I didn't really kind of when I figured out that CMC were going to be here, I didn't know really how to see it. So I didn't know really, you know, to understand the how the CMC were going to fit in this story. But, you know, basically what they do is just take the place of the Toads, which I'm not really a fan of the Toads from the Mario universe either, so I guess it kind of fits there. That's pretty much it. I hope you guys do enjoy this story. I just want to mention something before I end it off. I was planning to sort of do this month, the month of March, sort of a crossover themed month where I review only crossovers. But the thing about it is, this story, I don't know if I'll be able to get a lot of crossover stories out this month. So for right now, there's just this one. If I can, then this will be a crossover month. If not, then I may make next month or the month after that a crossover month. Because I really want to do that. I think it's, you know, interesting for me to review crossovers. They're sort of their own brand of fan fiction, I believe. So yeah, that's pretty much all that I want to mention. Once again, the story is by FancyFan21. If you want to go, guys, check it out, then you can. And once again, that's it. I'm Canada, and I say goodbye for now.